our October webinar focusing on the catalog module. We enjoyed looking at your comments that you made during registration. There are some here who have used the module mainly for course descriptions, others who've never used it at all, and others who just aren't sure about that. Everyone here is going to leave with some new ideas today, Chuck. As you have questions or comments, pop those into the chat box for us, and we'll get them answered either during the session or in a follow-up if needed. We will be recording, and we'll have those things posted to our webinar archives on ACEware.com by tomorrow. And you'll be able to view that again or share with others that have that need to know. So, Chuck, I know you have a lot to cover, so I'm going to turn things over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. And again, welcome. The topic of this is it's more than just course descriptions, and that's something that we're going to find out. There's a lot of ground to cover, so let's just dive in. So what is a catalog module? Well, it is quite useful in a number of ways. Probably most of you, and even if you said you didn't use it, if you opened up a course in Manager or went on the website to look at a course, you're using Catalog Builder because that's where your course descriptions come in the primary use of the system. And again, the note, it can be exported as catalog copy if you're building a catalog, whether it's a PDF on the web or you're still doing a printed one. You can set prerequisites and related courses. And again, not many of you might have prerequisites on courses, but most everybody has a related course that you can actually promote when you're putting up description on course one. If there's a similar course, you can encourage students to go check it out and take possibly it as well. Of course, email templates. If you're sending out emails out of Student Manager, your Catalog Builder is the tool that you can format your templates. SMS templates, again, not many take advantage of the SMS tool that's built into Manager, but the Catalog Builder is where you can put in default templates used in text messaging. SMS is text messaging. Course proposals, inviting instructors to submit course proposals. Again, you may have an internal system. If you don't, you can certainly just use the base one that is provided via ACEware. And again, get your instructors to submit new course ideas that might be able to help boost your program activity. Marketing campaigns, and again, this marketing campaign one is I don't think a lot of people take advantage of. It's a way to capture emails from students who might be interested in new programs you're doing. This is a new one, warning messages and bulletins for ACEware. Many of you have had situations where you said, oh my gosh, we have to close the campus tomorrow. I need to put a notice up everywhere that there are no classes. Well, if you don't have access to your web master, this allows you to put up a notice instantaneously on your ACEware pages to guide your students as to information they need to know. And that is a new feature, so we'll talk about it. Memo text, putting in, using Catalog Builder to store large text blobs or blocks that you can drop into reports or receipts, which we'll talk about. The unscheduled courses option for ACEware, and again, as a way to kind of extend the reach of the programs that you're doing. Even if you're not offering a course on a given term, you can put that course out there for students to be aware that you're offering it and invite them to be notified or sign up to be notified when you offer it. So, all right, well, what's the details on that? Well, I guess to finish, the Catalog Builder really is your Swiss Army knife that can be used in a variety of ways, and let's see if we can go through there and refresh you on those. How do you access the Catalog Builder? Of course, module, catalog, and then you'll start to see the different options that appear down there. First of all, course descriptions. So again, a lot of you, I think, have already done this, so we're kind of motor right through that. File, new catalog entry, entering a catalog code, entering a course name, the name of this catalog description, a subject code, save. Now again, the note I would recommend, one of the, I think, errors that some folks do is that they'll actually use as the catalog code, and we'll go to the next course, they'll actually use the full catalog code, the year, the term, the description. Well, generally, unless you are really creating a unique catalog description for every section of the class, the recommendation is to use a generic code so that you can reuse that description no matter what section you're offering in a given term, or no matter what term you're offering this course in. So the elements of the catalog description, the primary description, which is plain text, and a secondary description, which is optional. Now again, that's sometimes confusing. If you really aren't doing anything with HTML, you don't have to put anything in this secondary description. However, if you do use it, you can use HTML to pretty it up. There is now, thanks to Matthew, a spell check tool on your primary description and a generate HTML tool for your web description that gives you kind of a simple WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get tool to be able to edit the HTML code. And again, the note is, if you don't enter a secondary description, ACEware will use the text one that you've got up top. So again, you don't need to copy paste these in order for ACEware to have a description. Spell checker. If you're using the spell checker, it will go through your descriptions and find any words that it doesn't recognize in its little spell checker dictionary, and you can either ignore it if it's unique or it's some specialized fake word you're using, or add it to the dictionary. The HTML editor down on the secondary description, when you open it, copies the text from your primary description, hit the edit text button, and do your editing. You can, again, big, bold, center, heading, hyperlink, list, which is kind of nice. That gives you the bulleted items. You can put in links to third-party web pages. You can drop in images. Again, you can put in some colors. Again, a great tool for those of us like me who really doesn't know much about HTML. Now, after you've done that, it'll ask if you want to put that code in the description, and it will then drop in your HTML formatting down in there. Now, if you want to know what that looks like, go back to Student Manager, open up one of the classes, go to look up a course that uses this catalog code, and click on the Preview ACEware Status page. That will take you to a view of your HTML that it would act as it would appear on the student screen. Now again, I do want to clarify, if you tried this and you don't get, you get an error on your browser, one of the things you need to do, and we're going to jump to Manager, in your Manager Edit Preferences, you would need to get your tech or your keeper of the flame at your school to put in the URL, the base URL to your ACEware that you're running at whatever your institution is. And if that's not present, you're going to get an error when you go to do that description preview ACEware status page. All right, generating HTML. Well, like I said, if you are like me and you're doing simple stuff, you can use the internal little generate HTML tool. If you're an HTML pro, you can certainly edit that HTML description yourself or use a third-party HTML editor. And again, I did a little Googling, and there are several ones that are free, that are online, that don't have to sign up for, that you paste in text, and you have a little more advanced, what you see is what you get tool. At the end of your editing, you just copy and paste that code into the description field. Now, just a little bit of a note, if you're using an external editor, make sure that They don't try to create like a complete web page with things like HTML, header, body, footer, CSS data. You basically just need the formatting for the text for your description. And again, if you're not sure about that, certainly go in, check with your tech, or go back to this preview and make sure that what you're putting in there displays properly when you're looking at it in ACEware. Okay, assigning a catalog code. Most of you, if you ever created a course, you would have done this. You open the course record, enter the code in the catalog field, or you can enter a partial code in the field and tab out, and it'll do the search for all of the matching records for that. If you're looking at an existing course and you want to see what the catalog description is for a course, you just click on the little description button to the right of the course or of the catalog code. Additional information. Well, that's not all. Of course, when you're putting description about a course you're doing, there is a page of benefits, materials, audience, features. You can reference textbook, and again, put supplemental data about that course into that field. Now note, not all of these fields may be default on display. They may not be part of your default ACEware, what's called course status page display. If you do want to use one of these elements, check with your tech, and they can help you edit that web page on your ACEware to make sure that those items are included if you're going to the work of putting them in. Contact information, one of the options is to be able to put in a contact person who would be your subject matter expert or the designer of this. This is optional, but again, if you have a larger program and you want to kind of keep track of, well, whose idea was this beginning basket weaving course, this would be a place to put that contact info in. Prerequisites. Again, maybe not all of you have prerequisites, but like I said earlier, most of you have courses that are related to the topic that you're doing. So for the course Extend Student Manager with ACEware, in our model, we might say, well, you really need to understand Student Manager before you start to go to the next step. Now, in the related courses, you would say that making the most of the email module, report writing, any other course like that might be a related course. If you're interested in using ACEware, these would be related courses. This may not be a perfect follow-up course, but if there was a second tier course, and maybe for those of you doing Excel, you'd have Excel level 1, and then you'd have Excel level 2, obviously a follow-up course would be your Excel level 2 class. And again, why would you do this? Well, it allows you, well, before we go that, there is also an option to be able to add a generic prerequisite description. And again, note, if you've got a course that you want to kind of say, hey, you really kind of ought to so-and-so, if it's a outdoor hiking course, you really should say, you should be able to walk a mile or more without getting winded in order to take this bird watching course. So again, that's a generic one. Another note, that field is not one of the default fields on your description template typically. So if you want to start using that and not necessarily the prerequisites, you would need to edit that course status to get that to display. Related courses, if you want to add items to one of those columns, prerequisites, related, or follow-up, just hit the add button and it lets you look up the catalog descriptor for the course that matches that particular setting. In Student Manager, if you want the users from Student Manager to be able to be warned if a student has met prerequisites, you do need to go into the preferences area, register, and make sure the box is checked to see if the student has met the prerequisites. heads up to your keepers of the flame here. Note, that is a black, which means it is a user by user preference. So again, if you've got some users who have programs that have prerequisites, you can turn on the prerequisite check for those staff users and leave it unchecked or off for those who don't have programs that would need to worry about prerequisites. And again, that gives the staff user a warning message. Now, a note, depending on the level of access of the staff user, they're generally some of the users, you do have the option, or staff users have the option to override the prerequisite and allow that student to continue registering. But that's your staff, and you can set up your standard operating procedure as to how you might want that to occur. On the web, if a course has prerequisites, it will display what the prerequisites are, or it will display a link to prerequisites. Once you click it, it'll tell you what you need to have. Now note, ACEware has an I&I setting, cat link status, that determines how ACEware handles prerequisites. And one of the options is to whether that has to be a hard requirement to say that unless that record is part of a student's history in the student manager database, they cannot take the class, versus a recommendation that they should take this class or that before successfully taking the one they're on right there. From Student Manager on the registration side, related courses. Now this is, we're moving off of prerequisites to related courses. So that if you've got staff members who are doing registration, handling people over the phone, if you have a registration office that handles phone registrations, as they are registering students for a given class, from the registration screen, the green registration screen, the See Also button would show related courses. And again, that would be something I would highly encourage you to tell your registration staff that are doing phone registration. Again, if you are going to the effort of putting in related courses in your course catalog, that you make sure you tell them, be sure to check the See Also button on your registration form to make sure that you tell the student, oh, by the way, Charles, you know, there are a couple of other courses similar to the one you're taking. One is this and that. Would you be interested in taking those? Again, the idea is to encourage students to participate in courses that might fit the interests that they're working on. From the web pages, on the tabs there would be a link for related courses. And again, so that if a student clicks that, they'd be able to see the different courses that you would have tied in as related courses, and hopefully enroll in those courses. All right, back to the generic tools in the catalog record for the standard course description. When you're in a catalog record, you can actually create a course from the catalog record. And the advantage of that typically is that it'll drop in the title, the subject code, the catalog in that particular course. You could then go in, edit the course code to put in the year and the term, and then complete the rest of the course. I guess, to be honest, you're probably going to be better off going to a previous section of that course, hitting the clone course, because that, of course, would bring over fees, the past instructor, and any other general description data on that course. But there is a way to create a course from the catalog record. Again, if you've got questions, chat them in. Sharon will tell me if there's one that she thinks we need to handle right here at this time. Course proposals. Okay, we've kind of covered what is really the meat and potatoes of course catalog, which is the course descriptions, but you can do more. So we're going to talk about course proposals. This is a way for you to gather and manage course proposals from your instructors and potential instructors. What you can do is put a link to this course proposal form on ACEware from your ACEware pages. And then under Student Manager, you can navigate to Module Catalog Course Proposals to view course proposals. And we're going to get into that. So if we had course proposals, and of course in mine, I probably don't have any. I do have a couple course proposals. So again, this would have been a course proposal that would have been proposed it could have come in from the web. And I, as a manager, would need to approve this course proposal to make it a regular catalog code. So if you look at this course, and I think the key element is that we put a little semicolon in front of a proposal. Once that semicolon has been removed or we approve it, that then when we go back to find the other course proposal, it's gone. Now when I go into the full catalog of course proposals, I would be able, well, actually, I guess the semicolon doesn't make any difference. It just gives it it pulls it off of the proposed code. But again, the point is that what that allows you to do is that you have to have a staff member approve that descriptor. And again, in our ACEware demo, you'll see a couple of places where we have a submit course proposal link. But again, on your ACEware pages, you can choose where that course proposal page shows up. And in fact, you can even put a link to that course proposal page from one of your main pages on your website. So if you have an instructor recruitment page, it has all kinds of enhancements of why you want people to come and teach courses for you. You can put a link to the course proposal page directly on that. Once you bring up the page, the data is presented up there. The instructor or potential instructor fills out the data, and when they submit that, ACEware does several things. It sends a confirmation email to the instructor or the proposed instructor, thanking them for your proposal, and it sends a notice to the staff member who is identified as getting these course proposals. And then, of course, I showed this on Manager earlier. The staff members can then go into Catalog Course Proposals, look through the ones that have been proposed, and then approve them for scheduling into your regular course catalog descriptions. So again, if you're afraid of people putting in bogus course descriptions or obscene course descriptions, those will never show up in your listing for putting on courses until some staff member there approves it. All right, yeah, that's one that's a little interesting and I think has some great potential. Unscheduled courses. Again, this is another feature that you enable via the course catalog module. And what it allows you to do is capture the interest in, to put out there for student review. It allows you to put out there for student review courses that you might not be offering now in the current schedule. In other words, they're not available for registration, but allow a student who say, you know, I'm interested in beekeeping and I see it's not scheduled, but let me know when this course is going to be offered again. Excuse me. And then you as a program manager, when you offer that next section of the class, can do, of course, a email blast or however you might want to communicate with those students who have a subject code that matches this particular course. So again, the idea is that a student sees a course that they'd like to take in some future area, and then you can go ahead and sign up to be notified when that course is next offered. And by the way, when they sign up for that course, if their email is in the database, it'll automatically say, well, are you Chuck Havlicek, if I put in my Chuck at ACEware email, so that they don't have to fill out any other data. It actually adds that flag to their existing record in Student Manager. Now, if they don't have a Student Manager record, it will automatically add that name as a kind of a shell record in the system. And that's the big deal, is the subject code of that catalog is added to that student's interest code list. So how do you set that up? You go into the unscheduled course option in the catalog lookup options, and then you need to activate, you need to have the publish and the active buttons checked. You need to create a subject code, and you should add a grouping code that basically ties to the area in which this course would appear. In other words, put them in a topical set of courses. If it's an art course, in the art area, in the natural resources or outdoor adventure, put it in the outdoor adventure area, so students kind of, you know, find things in the right area of the grocery store. Catalog records set up for a contract course. Well, we were talking kind of about courses that are in the schedule, they're in the listing, and it has a date and a time, and anybody can enroll in it. If you do contract or in-house programs, for those of you doing technical training, if you have a lot of private contract programs, you can put in topics that you have basically a resource in, an instructor who is really great at doing a particular program that a lot of people do as an in-house program or contract program. You can also use the unpublished course option. The difference on that typically is you do need to activate the active and publish buttons, but the subject code you don't need to worry about. But you would want to, again, add a grouping code. The difference is that in the private course, where it might be a in-house program course, there would be a descriptor on that that says, contact our office or whoever is the staff member, Joe Smith, who is the director of contract programs, phone number, email, because somebody who might be wanting to talk to them about doing a private course in-house, you would need, they would need to reach out to the staff member that is working on that. So again, I don't know that many people take advantage of this. I think it's a great way to highlight your courses that you're offering. Now I'm going to actually see if I can run to a webinar here, and well, we'll come back to that as time permits. We've got a lot of ground to cover. I was going to show you on ACEweb the unscheduled course option, and we'll probably circle around to that when we get to questions. All right, moving on. So next item is memo text, using the catalog table to store memo text. Well, what is the point of using that for memo text? Well, if you've got big text blobs that you need to drop into a report or in an email, the memo text is a way to kind of put snippets of data that you can, in essence, drop in, or in essence, at the copy paste into a report or an email. Some caveats: you can only put in characters here. You can write in, you know, numbers into the character text, but you can't put in raw date fields or raw numeric fields. Cannot add data fields into this, can't do special formatting, so you're kind of limited to bold facing and some features like that. And again, so basically you go into the catalog lookup to put in your letter bodies. One of the great uses for this is on receipts where you want to have a big boilerplate bunch of text, things like refund policies or inclement weather policy, where you might have 3 or 4 paragraphs. You can put in that description in a letter body and then drop that into the form. Those of you who are using reports, who are doing reports, like if you're sending, you're doing a instructor confirmation form or instructor contract letter, you could put in the contract letter boilerplate into a memo body and then drop that into either an email confirming their teaching or a report. How do you use it? It's the get memo function is the student manager function that will drop memo text into a report, and it also works with email templates and on ACEware templates. So again, that is one of the functions that is universal between Manager, ACEware, and email tools. And again, you can drop it into a report with the report expression in ACEware email templates. The get memo function, again, works exactly the same way. All right. Going on to email templates, for any of you who have been using the internal student manager email, you know that email templates are edited through the catalog builder. So again, email template overview, and there are a number of email template options available to you when you get the email module. And I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but if you look at them, this is probably a good resource to go in and reread this in more detail to be able to see all the different things you can do with existing email templates. And again, by way of example here, let me see if I can get my drawing tool here. Confirmation of an email receipt with HTML, email instructors contract agreement, second notice, email a notice that there is an escrow on file, send link to the pay outstanding. Now, of course, that is now an automatic email blast right from the name record now. Marketing emails, which is the list of upcoming courses that the student might be interested in. Let's kind of go on and see what else we've got here. And I need to jump back to my normal drawing mode. Email instructor template, when the minimum is met. And again, this is a little sleeper, remember. There is now an option you can turn on in ACEware that when the course minimum is met, the instructor will automatically be notified, hey, Chuck, your minimum for class XYZ has been met. And that basically is kind of a comforting email for an instructor that they know that class you're offering with them is going to be held. What are some other ones here? Announcement about the online registration site for new ACEware users. Course reminders, email instructor rosters, email mail merge wizard to send student transcripts. And we're going to talk about mail merge wizard in a second. HTML formatting transcript. Notice about waitlist. Again, a variety of those, and obviously if you're modifying templates, you'd be even having more available. If you're looking at this from the PowerPoint later and you say, well, wait a minute, I don't have this particular email template, get a hold of your ACEware tech and they can certainly send you the updated set. And also I would reference, if you've got an older, if you've been using Student Manager for a while, you may want to contact your tech to see if there are some new templates out there that you might want to be using in your system. Accessing email templates, again, through the interface there. The e_mail is what generally is used as the default email template. User-defined email templates, when you're selecting them, you get to pick any template you use. And the merge email tool, again, brings up a little different interface when you are running it from one of your report tools, in that it allows you to bring the mail merge docs up and gives you some options as to how you might want that to be sent out. So, want to learn more? Again, the ACEware online help guide has a ton of information, and in the webinar archive, there are 2 or 3 specific webinars on editing and creating email templates, transactional emails, which would be receipts and things like your transcripts. Just search for the email keyword, and you're going to learn a lot more about the emailing. Student manager text messages, or SMS messaging. Again, this is a free feature. It's part of the catalog module. So most of you have the catalog module. What it allows you to do is send text messages from within Student Manager. You do need to have an account with Twilio. That's a third-party vendor that we use to negotiate which text provider or which cell phone provider are you using in order to get you the text. It may require some additional files from ACEware. It's free, but if you want to use it and never have before, you check with your tech to make sure you've got the files, and they'll help you with the setup. The student must have a cell phone, obviously, on their name record, and big deal, they must opt in to receive an SMS message. And so if you're doing this, certainly on the website, you're going to want to make sure you have the opt-in box on the website turned on, so the student can say, yes, it's okay to send me text message reminders. What the template looks like is just a simplified element of the catalog builder, kind of the main screen. Gives you a message element, gives you a title, and again, the warning that it is limited. Your text messages in our tool are limited to that 160 character limit. This is what the message might look like when you send it to a student. And again, that would be loaded in. You can do a template send to drop the template in if you've got kind of boilerplate links. Hey, remember your class starts tomorrow. You don't have to type it in, or you can always type in the message on the fly. So sending it from a report, there is a function, do mass SMS, that if you wanted to do a broadcast text message to students about a given class, you can do it with a mass report. And if you don't have an example of a mass SMS list report, your ACEware tech can get that to you. And again, the caveat, only names in your report that have a cell phone and that they have opted in will be texted. So again, if you are using SMS to do some texting and it's a required thing like class is canceled tomorrow, you need to make sure that everybody in this class registration list has a cell phone and that they've turned on that SMS notification. Or you'd want to use the mass email and or, you know, call them so they don't show up in, for a canceled class. This is one I'm excited about, bulletin and warning messages. And again, brand new feature, just came on this summer, I think at version 102. But what this allows you to do is to display a bulletin message, which is like, hey, fall catalog is available. Hey, look for our new partner enrollment program discounts. Or a warning message, which is weather is closed, remember, well, or, campus emergency, whatever that is on the website. You're able to put that in from your student manager catalog area. And again, how it works, you can enter in a description. The new student manager upgrade will automatically create two new catalog records. One is ACEware warning, and I think the other is ACEware bulletin. And basically, the difference between a warning and a bulletin is that you basically, and again, like always, you have to have this as active. What that allows you to do is to have a inactive bulletin, like new catalog is now available. Contact us if you haven't received it, and turn that on or off depending on what time of the semester that that bulletin or that catalog comes out. But basically, checking the warning bulletin box is what determines whether it's a warning or a bulletin. And for both warnings and bulletins, you can put in an expire date so that it'll automatically go off on a given time. And I guess if you left it blank altogether, I'm not sure what that does. So Sharon, you might want to ask Sharon or Cheryl or Matthew, if you leave the expire date on a bulletin, whether or not that continues to display or it will not display. But generally, certainly for things like a warning bulletin, campus closed today during a snowstorm, unless you know that the snowstorm is going to be over, I guess you'd put in your best estimate of, put it out there 3 or 4 days, a couple days in advance if you think your campus director has noted that it will be closed today but open tomorrow. And tomorrow's forecast is sunny. You'll say, what the heck, we'll probably open the next day, and you can have it expire on that specific date. Again, on the ACEware bulletin, if you want to do some HTML formatting, you want to highlight, you want to boldface something, change a color, you can use the Generate HTML tool on that. Where that shows up on your web page, you basically, again, this is something that you would need probably to edit your web page because it doesn't know about this link right now. But that typically we recommend the warning message might appear right on top in red at the top of your form, and then your green bulletin message shows kind of in the middle, our fall catalog is available, would be on there. Now, again, you can have both displayed if you want. I mean, you can have an ongoing bulletin fall catalog, and of course, the warning message will only show up when you turn it on, make it active, and you put in an expiration date that is, not prior to today. Again, versions, Student Manager 102 is required for the student manager side, and you do need to add some code to your ACEware Foundation templates. And again, your tech can provide you that code. Again, Sharon, I didn't check. That might be in the help guide. So maybe that'd be a Cheryl question, whether or not the help guide has a link to some examples of what that foundation text might be. All right, guys, I hope you've got questions coming up. We are going to look like we've got some time that we'll be able to have some good questions at the end. Note, we will be coming out, and I think this will be in 66 when it's released, that from the ACEware web access, you'll be able to edit the warning and bulletin messages and turn them on and off from your web staff access. And again, if you've got a snowstorm coming and you're not able to get into the office, you'd be able to get up in the morning in your jammies, turn on your coffee pot, and log on to ACEware staff access and put up the note that classes are canceled because of the snow. Marketing campaigns. All right, we're closing off to some of the final set of tools in Catalog Builder. This is another one that I just don't think a lot of people take advantage of, and I think it has a lot of capability for trying to get names and emails and codes on people for programs that you might have coming up. And basically what you can do is that you can put up a description of a future event that you're doing that you might not have registration info up and live, even prospecting type campaigns, where if you said, well, we here at University of Mugwump are thinking about creating a certificate program in web design, blah, 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 whatever you're thinking about. And it says, if you're interested in keeping or getting information as this develops, sign up here or add your name to the notification list. If you've got courses coming up next term, you said, well, we're thinking about offering a course on such and such. And, you know, sign up here if you'd like to learn more about it as details develop. Again, the point is, it allows you to put a note in your ACEware pages, or again, you can link to that page no matter where you are on your website. So you can put a link to one of the ACEware marketing campaign forms from an existing website where you might have a faculty member saying, you know, we're doing research on ways to prevent spam email. Boy, that'd be the one if you can figure that out. Sign up here if you'd like to learn more or keep up to date on the latest research. And the point is, it gives you a set of names that when you have that class on how to avoid spam emails, you'll have a pre-existing contact list of students who might be interested. Again, a way to market, a way to build out your database, a way to identify students who are interested in particular programs. And again, kind of going back, we mentioned this on the Notify Me on an Unscheduled Course. When a student starts to fill out this form, it will check that email address against the database. If it's in there, it'll automatically populate that student's name. If the name is not in the database, it'll put in that record for the new student, new name, new email address, and add a subject code for that student. So again, you can follow up with that student, get them to enroll in this course when and if you offer it. You can edit the text message, or you can edit the body of the email that the student gets as a confirmation that says, well, thank you for signing up to do whatever you're asking them to do. And again, as you build out the marketing campaign form, you have an option to include address fields or just show first name, last name, which is what this example shows. And again, if you want to send a copy of an email to the staff member or subject, the contact information is where the staff member who was going to get the email that says, you know, Joe Blow signed up for this spam email program info. And again, it references the source code as to where that student came from. Catalog code is then, of course, added to their interest code list. And again, that gives you your target group when you get ready to do the marketing campaign for the actual course. Finally, exporting catalog copy. And this is kind of one we almost forgot to mention, but one of the things that Catalog Builder does by copying putting in a course description is that you can use that catalog data to generate data to fill a marketing catalog. Again, whether it's a PDF on the web or a one you go to the printer on. So under Reports, Courses, Generate Catalog Copy, it gets you to the spot, and the key element is, excuse me, you can format the reports the way you want, but the key step is to do the export. And again, we've found, at least in my experience, that the best option for output is RTF, or Rich Text Format. And the little logo reminds me that I wanted to show you an actual example. So for catalog export, reporting, courses, generate catalog copy, we're going to say we want it in RTF format. This time I'm going to use one of the alternate catalog styles. And again, if you don't have the catalog export styles, these are kind of generic models that you can riff off of. Contact your tech, and they can send them to you. Or if you've got a current ACEware or a student manager demo, you can go over to the student manager demo, export one of these models that you want, and import it into your system. So we're going to RTF export, and we're going to call this sample export. And so we're going to run the query for what courses we want exported, and it'll ask you questions about phone numbers, email, how do you want to separate data. We'll pick the format we want. You get an option to see what it looks like. And when you close that, it will write that data to a rich text format. And here we are in Word with core data that you can then send to your catalog publisher, and they can pretty it up, drop it into sections, and add images, however they might want to do that. So again, I think that is a great way to help you generate your catalogs. Well, we're skidded into here. We've got a few minutes for questions. This is what we tried to cover. What kind of questions, Sharon? Tell me what's out there. You're muted.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit, Chuck, about the process of course proposal? Once that's approved, there's some confusion on the difference between a course catalog versus the course itself, and creating a course after that's been approved.
Well, the idea of the course proposals is that a course proposal is stored in the database when it comes in via your web form. And again, I'm not on the live system. But when you set up, and let me see if I can get here. Yeah, okay, we're gonna jump in here live. Try ACEware. So when we're in the ACEware demo, and I say I want to submit a course proposal, you can have a link to course proposal from here. You could have a link to the instructor login, but basically this is a web course proposal form. Okay, so you would have this form on your website. A potential instructor would fill out the information about this form. That data would drop into this catalog course proposal group. It would only be viewable from this particular link. In other words, it is not, if I were to go, this is how to use ACEware Online. Okay, if I wanted to go to a course and I wanted to, how to use, and there is no course description here on how to use ACEware Online or how to do ACEware proposals for OLLI. OLLI was a keyword on that. There's nothing there for me to add to a course as a bona fide course because this course is a proposal. It was one that was submitted. Nobody, staff member wise, nobody has approved this course yet. And so again, it's a proposed course. Think of it as a folder, a subfolder on your desk, a file folder on your desk that says unapproved course proposals, and it does not appear in the file that says approved course proposals until somebody does that. So again, that is the deal between course proposals and catalog codes. A course proposal is an unapproved catalog code, is where it's going to end up. Hope that covers that. The deal about how to create a course from the catalog is that you look up the catalog description and you say create a course. It builds out the stem of a course and you've put in the rest of the data. My comment during the workshop or during the webinar was, if you really have an existing course already done and you did one, well, let's go back. You did a course back in 2020 on Intro to Word Processing. It's actually better, you get more mileage by going to an old course that's in the database, doing clone course, and that will bring in a lot of the supplemental data, the default time, the default location, the default instructor, the default fees from the last class offered, rather than typing it in, filling in from the Create Catalog record. All right, other questions?
All right, talk a little bit about, I'm trying to get some clarification from Tracy, but she was asking about seeing an example of what the catalog looks like when you click download catalog from ACEware on your site. I think she may be talking about the bulletin notice, and in that case, we would be linking up to their catalog they created in PDF format, correct? It's not like it's pulling from ACEware to pull that catalog. Yes, yes, that's what she's talking about. When you talked about the bulletins, where you
right,
have
the bulletin.
Our catalog is now available, download it now as a bulletin. That way, or it's available, call our office or something, but we would be linking up to the catalog you created, Tracy, in PDF format and just linking it to there. It's not pulling from your ACEware pages. Does that help answer your question, Tracy?
All right. Well, we'll.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Chuck? Like your courses you have published on ACEware.
I guess if you're publishing, I guess I'm not quite sure. If you're talking about the idea of how do you display a PDF catalog on ACEware, and I would say, well, you probably wouldn't. You'd be probably using, you would either have from your main page a link to, on your main page, if you wanted to say view the PDF catalog, you'd put a link here to the catalog, and then you could bring the PDF of what would be the equivalent of a paper catalog, or you'd be going into looking up courses. And again, I suppose here's an example here that the download your copy today, you could put, okay, maybe, I'm sorry, maybe a
hyperlink to the catalog.
That's where, that's where I think we're at. Sorry, Tracy, we're a little, but the idea that you could go into catalog, bulletin, announcement, go into generate HTML and be able to say, I want to put in a hyperlink here on fall catalog available, put in a hyperlink underneath this, and then put in our link, nccc.edu/document PDF, and you put in the link to that, and that would link that into the description. And so when you're on the website you could click on that link and automatically drop that catalog. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I think I think we got it. Other questions?
No, but I have some answers for you.
Good. All right.
You had asked about like the emergency bulletin and those messages. What happens if
there's no
end date there? Then it just stays live until you go in and deactivate that. You have to have it activated, for it to display. You'd have to manually deactivate.
On my demo,
Correct.
that has to be active. But if you want that feel-good message to stay on forever and ever and ever, just leave it active, leave the expire date blank, and it'll stay on there forever. Obviously, again, on a warning bulletin, campus is closed on the New Year's Eve day. You'd want to put an expire date on this 01/01/2030 here. 2030, so that it would expire the next day or whenever you want it to expire. All right, thank you, Sharon, for digging that out.
And you had asked some about the help guide. There's some basic information in the help guide, but if you're wanting some help in where to place it on your template, we suggest you get with your tech on that.
Gotcha.
Okay, because they need to do some work on the templates for you.
That's
all we've got there, Chuck. They have lots of information, and so now they're ready to say, I heard that we could do this, I learned that we could do this, and your tech can help you get started with that.
Thanks for coming, guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you next month for certificate programs. Again, a number of tools in ACEware to help manage and operate and promote certificate programs, and we're going to learn more or get updated next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.